just released out of Japan is a slew of new details regarding the brand new baby LandCruiser. Also, we're going to be calling it the LandCruiser FJ for the remainder of this video. Check this out. Brand new scans coming out of Best Car Magazine, straight out of Japan. We're going to translate them and get into all the amazing details of this compact LandCruiser that's more affordable for the masses. Let's get into it. If you're excited for this miniature LandCruiser, smash the heck out of that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. I'm driving the all-new J250 Prado, aka LandCruiser as we know it here in the United States. In just a couple months from now, I'm driving it in April, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss my driving impressions on it. For that matter, check out my driving impressions on the Lexus GX 550 because that's a LandCruiser in my opinion as well. All right. Let's get into this image here. I stitched together a couple pages together, right? They're scans out of a magazine. This is what it's going to look like. Probably 95%. Best Car Magazine nailed pretty much a LandCruiser J250. They nailed, I think, the 300 series as well. They got the GR Corolla right. They got the Prius like 99% right. And check out this. Beautiful tires going to be slotted onto the back. I mean, I see that in what, third generation RAV4s. You see the tire on the back, and this thing literally looks like a J250 from the side, except the roofline back here caves down just a little bit. A little shark fin antenna up top. Tons of glossy. Well, it could be glossy maybe in certain trims, but we have a lot of black plastic here on the bottom. Why so much black plastic? Well, it's a rugged vehicle. Subaru does a lot of black plastic on their wilderness models. Mazda, look at the CX-30. That's not an off-road model. It doesn't need to have that much plastic, but it's cost-cutting. So if you want to have a more affordable LandCruiser, Toyota's going to find ways to cut costs on this LandCruiser, and putting a lot of glossy or matte black plastic around the bottom is going to be one way to do that. Definitely wait for official production before we get this finalized design, but I think it's going to be pretty much identical. Man, it looks awesome going through the dirt there. And they do the best with, estimating designs more than anyone else. Their information is typically better than everyone else as well. So with that being said, let's get into the English translations of the baby FJ, the baby LandCruiser. Details revealed. They got the Super Scoop, and there's some cute Suzukis coming out. And I wish we got little cute Suzukis like this, but this is not the video for it. All right, LandCruiser FJ. We now know almost everything about the platform, installed engine design, debut date. Guys, I haven't read any of this. So we're looking at this information together. I don't know why this is so small. Let me pump this up. Here we go. Let me flip this around so we can read it together. Since it's the rankle, that's a translation from LandCruiser. It's naturally a ladder frame, so body on frame. It's not going to be on like the Corolla Cross platform, even though they said it's about the same size as a Corolla Cross. They're saying it's a ladder frame. It's on the F platform shared with the new 4Runner, the LandCruiser J250, the LandCruiser 300. I could keep going. The GX. The Tacoma, right, etc. They're saying that this vehicle is competing between first and second place for upcoming vehicles out of their magazine. I wonder what would be first. Maybe the MR2, something like that. It's hard to say. This, of course, has the boxy design reminiscent of early LandCruisers such as the 20 and 40 series, and is about the size of the Corolla Cross. Expectations are high because it is easy to handle and is also certain to be the cheapest LandCruiser. Well, of course. Well, there are always exceptions. Maybe there's a 70 series somewhere in Africa that's maybe sold for cheaper, but 70 series are very expensive in most places of the world, even though they haven't been changed like since the 80s. Well, they just got the refresh. So watch my walk around with David Chow when we were in Japan at the Japan Mobility Show with the refreshed 70 series. The thing is so cool. The first time we saw a similar design to this was back at the end of 2021 with Akio Toyoda, who was then the CEO. He's now the chairman of Toyota, but then CEO. He showed a bunch of battery electric vehicles, and there was a small LandCruiser got our imaginations running, right? They also showed the Tacoma, the Crown Sport, the BZ3, so many vehicles there at that event that still haven't come out yet. And I think we have a few more, especially from the Lexus, and they're going to come out with those designs. But they're saying that it was shown as a battery electric vehicle, but it is going to have an engine in the production form, so don't freak out. The engine, they're saying, is available in 2.72 pure gasoline, but let's keep reading. FJ is the strongest likelihood for the naming of it, LandCruiser FJ, and that brings a lot of people, at least here in the United States and North America, like a blast from the past. I see FJ Cruisers every day here in South Florida. They run forever. They're like just a slightly different styled forerunner, I guess you could call it that. So the FJ has a ton of marketing pull, and naming this baby LandCruiser the FJ makes a ton of sense. But again, Toyota could decide to call it something else if they wanted to, so stay tuned for that. But they're introducing a full-fledged ladder frame SUV or body on frame, and they're saying that if it was unibody, fans would probably be disappointed. It depends on its capability, but yes, I think most people would be underwhelmed if it was unibody. They are saying that the engine is a 2TRFE. That engine was seen in the Tacoma for a long time, that little 4-cylinder. They're saying that this is going to be coming in this baby LandCruiser. I think it's going to have multiple powertrains throughout the world. Look at the J250. It's got a twin-turbo V6 in the GX. It's got a hybrid turbo setup for North America, for the LandCruiser anyways. And then the LandCruiser Prado in Australia has a 2.8 turbo diesel. So just because they're saying 2.7 gasoline engine doesn't mean that's how we're going to get it. In fact, I would expect a hybrid engine for North America, as Toyota's really going hard with hybrids at this point in time. They're saying a hybrid version was also considered, but it was abandoned. And the reason for this is not certain, but it is possible that a new version will be set about a year after its release. Okay, so maybe they just haven't finalized a smaller hybridized powertrain for body on frame. You can't just copy and paste a RAV4 hybrid powertrain into a body on frame rear wheel drive biased vehicle. Even though these vehicles are 4x4 all the time, I would assume this is too, but we don't have confirmation on that. But I think, you know, maybe it's delayed for the United States as a possibility, so that they can get that hybrid powertrain ready for mass production and adoption. So I honestly don't think we'll see the 2.7. They're saying a 1GD FTV type is also reported, so the straightforward 2.8 liter turbo diesel were also considered, but that was abandoned, and details are also unknown about that. And well, actually, they mention it right here. A few of their diesels throughout the world, Toyota was cheating on emissions, right? Who wasn't cheating on emissions? I'm not giving them a pass here, by the way. It's not good that they were cheating, but I'd be surprised if you told me most automakers don't cheat. I'm almost convinced nearly all of them cheat at some level throughout certification processes, whether it's emissions or safety regulations. And Toyota has a big spotlight on them, and they have a lot of vehicles to pass through these tests, and they got caught red-handed for cheating. But maybe that's why the 2.8 liter turbo diesel is on pause for this vehicle, but it's going into the J250. So I just think it's too powerful of an engine and too torquey of an engine for this lower class LandCruiser, in my opinion. All right, release date. As of last fall, there was information that'll be released by the end of this year, but basically nothing has changed. The company's reporting for line off in November. So we could see this by the end of this year. And I think my friend David Chow was saying that announcement for this vehicle could come this summer. Now, would they announce it for North America when they reveal it? It's hard to say. Toyota's, you know, they're doing their best to reveal vehicles kind of at the same time for multiple markets. The Prius vehicle, for example, it was revealed first for the out of the Japanese media outlets, like just a few hours before it was revealed for the North American market, even though it's the same car. So they'll probably do some sort of multi-market reveal for this vehicle, because again, there's going to be different powertrains for it, but we'll see. Time will tell. But if it's going to be November, guys, I'm going to sell. I don't have a whole lot to sell, but maybe I'll trade in the Prius for this beautiful little LandCruiser. I want this so bad. This is, to me, the most desirable Toyota in the entire lineup. This LandCruiser FJ, this baby LandCruiser, by far the most desirable. So if it comes by the end of this year, I'm going to do what I can to get this vehicle on the channel and do some tests on it, long-term review, that sort of thing. I was supposed to get the new Prius, but I just couldn't justify it. But I would find ways to justify this vehicle. I actually haven't looked at this interior yet. This is kind of a copy and paste of the battery electric variant of this vehicle. I'm going to pull that up for you. Yeah, here we go. I think this is pretty similar. Now, this gauge cluster, don't expect a technological showcase here because this is going to be made to a low price. I don't want to estimate what this thing will price yet. Maybe we'll get into that a little bit. So this is what the light cruiser was. They originally called it the light cruiser or compact cruiser, and that's the interior that it once was. So I feel like we're getting similar vibes in here with the orange accents. But again, look how simple these knobs and dials are. Are we going to get a stripped down LandCruiser FJ with no touchscreen in it? I highly doubt it. That just wouldn't fly here in North America, even though it would steal headlines without having a touchscreen in here, with making it this basic. I just don't see it happening as much as I would like to see it to keep costs down. And, you know, people use their phones. You could just put your phone in here. There's your Android Auto, right? But we'll see. Okay, so they're saying the price is going to be 3.5 to 4.5 million yen. So let's get our little calculator out. Let's say 3.5 million yen, so $23,000. Now, but that's for the Japanese market. Could it cost that low here in the United States? If it does, it breaks the market. And dealers would mark this up 10, 15 grand over. What's 4 million yen? It's only $26,000. Now, keep in mind, the Prius is extremely cheap in Japan compared to what it costs here. So let's say that I'm just going to say this vehicle, best case scenario, starts at $30,000 here in the United States and then tops off around $40,000. And that's where the 4Runner will start. The 4Runner starts around $40,000. It'll top out around $55,000. That's where the J250 starts, the 1958 LandCruiser, and that goes all the way up to around $70-something thousand. Okay, so you have like 3 different tiers of LandCruisers and prices. Let's say $30,000 to $40,000 is a sweet spot here in the United States for this baby LandCruiser. And if they can come at that price, my goodness, it would be unbelievable. People would be losing their minds. Now, if it comes with this 2.7 liter naturally aspirated gasoline engine, we only get 160 horsepower out of it. It's full-time 4x4, I would assume, even though they can, if they wanted to, make it rear-wheel drive or have a transfer case in it so you have rear-wheel drive capability. But this is a LandCruiser. Every LandCruiser that I'm aware of is full-time 4x4 or four-wheel drive. Release date by the end of this year. Announcement could happen this summer. They like to do about 6 months usually. Sometimes it's less, but about 6 months from announcement to availability from the dealers. This is the engine they're talking about here, naturally aspirated, 160 horsepower or so, 181 pound-feet of torque. I just don't know. I just don't see that happening, to be honest. I think they're going to hybridize it for the United States market and use it. You could say it's a RAV4 engine, but how it works, it's not the 2-motor hybrid system that we see in K-platform or C-platform Toyotas. No, this has to be sending the power to the rear wheels. So they're going to be giving it the 8-speed auto more than likely, and they could give us the same electric motor that we have in the Tacoma hybrid, the Tundra hybrid, which is 48 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque. And look what it does, not only to the fuel economy, gets it up to around 30 miles per gallon and something like that, the baby FJ, but it gives us 237 horsepower and over 300 pound-feet of torque. This is the hybrid engine I want to see in this new LandCruiser. However, there are also reports from Beskar and other Japanese sources that they're developing a smaller turbo engine, a 1.5 liter turbo hybrid. And if that's the case, we could see similar power numbers to this, I guess, definitely more torque. But you would have, I guess, better fuel economy and better emissions. And that's the key here. They want to have good emissions for this truck. So that's an outside shot. This hybrid setup that we haven't seen this yet. I think they could easily implement this, and this will definitely be available in Japan and other markets, this 2.7. I don't doubt that. Could we see a 6-speed manual? I suppose you could. We see it on the Tacoma. They could bring it into the 4Runner too. But I didn't like the 6-speed. I like the 6-speed on the old V6 better than the new 6-speed, or should I say the revised 6-speed on the new 4-cylinder turbo. So I want them to keep with the 8-speed auto. I think that's fine and dandy. Let me know what you want down before. Would you just like an underpowered, old, but super reliable 2.7 liter 4-cylinder, or would you like to have this hybridized setup, more torque, more power, better fuel economy? But it does add weight, so that you a little give and a take, but you're getting a lot more than you're giving away, if that makes sense. So I'm going to shut it down there. LandCruiser FJ, That's what I hope it's going to be called. They would get everyone's attention with a name like that and a vehicle like this, bring it into the market and make it affordable, starting around $30,000 all the way up to like $40,000. And gosh, man, the LandCruiser would have more powerful name than it ever has in the United States, having two different LandCruisers. Well, three, I guess you could almost say three, because the 4Runner is about as LandCruiser of a vehicle you can have without having the LandCruiser name on it. But I'm excited, guys. If you can't tell, I like how upright this A-pillar is too. Again, it looks like a shrunken down Prado. It looks great. And if it looks like this coming out of the factory, I think we're going to have a big smile on our face. Now, keep in mind, one last time, they showed this vehicle to us with the more angular, the more blocky headlights. And look what happened to the J250. They gave us the option of the circular headlights as well as the blocky headlights. So I think we can absolutely see both designs coming in for this new LandCruiser FJ. LandCruiser, a more affordable one for the masses. Toyota would have endless demand, in my opinion. What do you guys think? I'll see you down below. I got to stop ranting about the possibility of this coming this year. Not just coming in general. That gets me excited enough. But coming this year, game over. Thank you guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.